Sometimes life teaches you lessons the hard way. I trusted my husband's family more than my own blood. But when they took my baby away, just to please their perfect daughter, I realized love can turn into cruelty faster than you can imagine. This is my story. Hi everyone, my name is Isabella, and today I'm sharing something I never thought I'd tell the world. It's not easy to talk about, but if even one person learns from my mistake, it'll be worth it. So sit back, grab a coffee, and listen carefully, because what happened to me could happen to anyone. Before we begin, tell me, where are you watching from? Type your country name in the comments below, backhand index pointing down. And also tell me what time it is in your country right now. I love seeing how far our stories travel across the world globe, showing Europe, Africa. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon, so you never miss another real-life story like this one. Now, let's begin. My name is Isabella Moore, and this is the story of how my husband's family took everything from me, my baby, my trust, and nearly my sanity. But they didn't know that I would survive. I met Ethan Reed at a small charity event in my hometown. He was charming, confident, and had a way of smiling that made everyone in the room forget their worries. I was volunteering at a dessert table, handing out cupcakes, and he came over with a tray in hand, spilling a little of his coffee in his rush. I laughed as he apologized, and somehow that spilled coffee led to an entire conversation that lasted hours. By the end of the night, we had shared our first kiss under the soft glow of string lights. Our relationship moved quickly after that. Dates turned into late night talks turned into promises, and promises eventually turned into a proposal. Ethan proposed under an old oak tree behind my college dorm. I said yes, completely sure that I was about to enter my happily ever after. The day we married, I felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. I wanted to be part of his family, and at first, it seemed like they welcomed me. His father shook my hand with a polite smile. His mother smiled, but there was a tension in her eyes I couldn't quite place. And then there was Amelia, Ethan's younger sister. She was perfection in human form. Blonde hair, flawless skin, expensive perfume, designer clothes, and the kind of confidence that made everyone else seem small. I remember her hugging me and whispering, "Welcome to the family," and for a moment, I believed her. That first week in their home felt like a dream. Ethan was attentive, his parents polite, Amelia courteous. I wanted to be part of the family so badly that I ignored the small stings, the subtle comparisons, the backhanded compliments, the way his mother's eyes would linger on Amelia while talking to me. But I would soon learn that love, no matter how pure, can't shield you from envy, obsession, and cruelty. The first months of marriage were calm. Ethan worked long hours as an architect, and I freelanced from home. Sundays were reserved for family dinners, a ritual his mother insisted on. At first, it seemed normal. A family tradition, something to bond us. "Family must eat together," she said, as Amelia twirled a fork of roasted chicken with an almost regal grace. I tried my best to be a good daughter-in-law. I smiled, laughed at the jokes, and praised the food. But every compliment for Amelia was followed by a comparison, subtle at first, then more obvious. Amelia got promoted again. "What about you, Isabella?" Amelia's husband bought her a new car. "Ethan, maybe you should do the same?" I swallowed my pride and smiled. Ethan would squeeze my hand under the table, silently apologizing for their cruelty. But their words stung, and the sting grew sharper with time. About a year into our marriage, I found out I was pregnant. The joy on Ethan's face when I told him is something I'll never forget. He lifted me off the ground, spinning me around, tears in his eyes. But his mother's reaction was not what I expected. "So soon?" she asked, a forced smile plastered on her face. I was hoping Amelia would give us the first grandchild. Amelia laughed, but the glint in her eyes betrayed her true feelings. That was the moment I realized that this pregnancy, the one I thought would bring me closer to my new family, was the spark that would ignite a silent war. As my pregnancy progressed, Amelia became increasingly present in our lives. She would show up unannounced, bring gifts for the baby, and sit in the nursery, watching me as if I were an intruder in my own home. One evening, I caught her holding a toy and whispering softly. "Just talking to my little one," she said when I asked. "My little one." The word stabbed me like a knife. I tried to explain my unease to Ethan, but he brushed it off. She's just attached. You know she can't have children. Be kind. Be kind. That's what they called obedience. That's what they called submission. But I couldn't submit to someone slowly stealing my life. The day of my baby's shower, my mother-in-law orchestrated everything. The decorations were gold, extravagant beyond reason. The cake had, "Congratulations Amelia," written on it. People laughed it off, assuming it was a printing error. I smiled too, forcing myself to appear unaffected. Inside, my heart shattered. That night, I tried to speak to Ethan. "Do you see it? They're trying to take over my pregnancy." He sighed. "Isabella, you're imagining things. Don't fight with them. Relax. Imagining things." That's what they wanted me to believe. That I was overreacting. That I was the problem. The day Noah was born was supposed to be the happiest of my life. But it became the day I first glimpsed the betrayal in its full form. Ethan wasn't in the delivery room when I screamed for him. His mother said he couldn't handle blood. Later, I found out he was downstairs comforting Amelia, who had panicked at the thought of another child being born before hers. When I finally held my son, I whispered, "You're mine, Noah. No one will take you from me." I didn't know how wrong I was. From the first week, chaos dominated our home. His mother insisted on staying, Amelia hovering everywhere. I couldn't even feed my baby without someone watching, correcting, or claiming authority. "You're holding him wrong," Amelia said one afternoon. "Let me do it. He likes me more." I cried quietly every night. Ethan didn't notice. Or perhaps he did and chose to ignore it. One night, I woke to find Noah's crib empty. Panic froze me. Laughter floated from the garden, Amelia, holding my baby, calling him her own. I tried to record her, to capture proof, but Ethan snatched my phone. "Stop it," he yelled. "You're scaring him." That's when I realized they had begun to isolate me. To convince me, and themselves, that I was unfit, they told me they were taking Noah, just for a few days, so I could rest. I screamed, begged, held his blanket until my fingers bled. Ethan, my husband, walked out the door with my son. And just like that, my world was gone. My child. My home. My trust. All ripped away. Sitting alone that night, clutching the tiny blanket, I realized one thing: this war had begun. And I would not lose. The days after Noah's brief disappearance felt endless. Every moment was a battle between fear and disbelief. How could the people I trusted most, my own family, betray me like this? Amelia's presence in our lives became suffocating. She appeared unannounced, often hovering around Noah, cooing at him in a voice that sounded practiced, rehearsed, as though she had been preparing for this moment her entire life. "I'll help with the nursery," she said casually one morning, carrying a stack of baby clothes. Her tone was so calm, so polite, that Ethan didn't notice the subtle dominance in her words. "No, thank you," I replied softly, trying to assert myself. But Amelia smiled, ignoring my words, arranging the clothes in drawers I hadn't even finished folding. I began noticing little things that gnawed at me. Toys moved from one corner to another. Bottles I had sterilized were mysteriously misplaced. Small incidents at first, but the pattern was unmistakable. And then there were the whispers. My mother-in-law, once cordial, now spoke to me like a warden. "Isabella, you need to rest. Amelia is better at handling the baby right now." I could feel my independence being stripped away, moment by moment, piece by piece. Ethan, my husband, did not see it, or chose not to. "They're just trying to help," he said. "Don't let it get to you. Don't let it get to me." That became the mantra of my life, a mantra I repeated until my voice almost cracked. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't just helping. This was a takeover. I tried to confide in my friends, but it was hard. "Ethan's family is just overbearing," they said. "You're imagining things. Imagine things." That phrase would haunt me for months. Every manipulation, every overstepping boundary, they would brush off with that same line that my baby shower should have been a celebration of life, love, and family. Instead, it was a subtle battlefield. The decorations were meticulously designed by my mother-in-law, but every detail seemed to humiliate me silently. The cake, a luxurious 3-tiered masterpiece, bore the wrong name. "Congratulations, Amelia," it read in elegant icing. Guests laughed. I smiled. I forced myself to appear unaffected, hiding the burning rage inside me. That evening, I confronted Ethan. "Do you see what they're doing?" I asked, my voice trembling. He brushed it off. "Isabella, you're imagining things. Stop overthinking." That word again, imagining. The weapon they used to undermine my reality. When Noah was born, the joy was overshadowed by isolation and betrayal. Ethan was not in the delivery room. His mother said he couldn't handle it, but I later discovered he was downstairs comforting Amelia, who had panicked over the news of a baby arriving before her time. I held my son for the first time and whispered, "You're mine, Noah. I will protect you from everyone, no matter what." But that promise, heartfelt and pure, was the one thing they aimed to destroy. The house became a place I could no longer call home. Amelia hovered constantly. Every action, every small gesture of mine, was monitored, judged, corrected. "You're holding him wrong," she said one afternoon, taking Noah from my arms. "Let me do it. He prefers me." Ethan didn't intervene. Or if he did, his intervention was feeble, fleeting, as if he feared confronting his family. I cried silently at night. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I could only cling to the small blanket that smelled like Noah and whisper promises to him in the dark. That a few weeks later, the first real threat emerged. Child Protective Services contacted me, claiming a concern over my mental stability. There were reports I had never filed, doctors I had never seen, signatures I didn't recognize. It was systematic. Everything my mother-in-law and Amelia had done in secrecy was now forming a legal case to strip me of my child permanently. When I called Ethan, begging him to help, his response was chilling. "Isabella, you need to rest. Let's not fight. We'll visit soon." Soon. My own son, carried away by the people I trusted, would not return soon. Sitting alone in my apartment, the reality hit me. My child had been taken, and I was alone. No one to defend me, no one to validate my cries. The fear slowly transformed into anger. Rage simmered beneath the surface, controlled but unstoppable. I realized one thing: would not let this injustice define me. Every night, I whispered to myself, "For Noah. I will get him back. No matter the cost." I started researching. Laws, custody rights, fraudulent documents. Every night, every spare moment, I immersed myself in legal manuals, court records, and investigative guides. I had become a student of betrayal, a detective in my own story. Every detail mattered. Every signature, every document, every whisper could be evidence. And slowly, a plan began to form. Not a plan of impulsive retaliation, a careful, meticulous strategy to reclaim what was mine. I did not yet know how it would unfold. I only knew one thing with certainty: they had underestimated me. Amelia's smirk, Ethan's indifference, and my mother-in-law's manipulations would all be tested. And when the moment came, they would realize that the person they had broken could also be the one to destroy them, in ways they could never anticipate. Weeks passed like an unending nightmare. Every phone call I made to Ethan ended in excuses. "He's fine. Don't worry. Just rest, Isabella. Rest." That word had become a cage, trapping me while they dismantled my life piece by piece. One morning, I received the call I had been dreading. Child Protective Services had officially removed Noah from my custody, temporarily, they said, until a full evaluation could be conducted. My stomach dropped. Temporary. But everyone knew temporary in the hands of my mother-in-law and Amelia meant months, maybe years. I rushed to the caseworker's office, clutching a folder of my own documents, prenatal checkups, character references, photographs. Every piece of evidence I could gather to prove I was fit. But the woman behind the desk barely looked at me. "All reports indicate your instability," she said. "Your husband and his family have provided evidence that raises serious concerns. Betrayal cuts deepest when it comes from those you love." Ethan, the man I had trusted, my husband, stood silently beside Amelia and his mother. He did not argue. He did not defend me. His eyes met mine once. Filled with fear, doubt, and something worse, resignation. Amelia smiled smugly. Don't worry, Isabella. Noah will be happier with us. Happiness. My child, in her arms, and she spoke as if she owned him. My heart fractured, yet something within me ignited. Rage. Determination. Survival instinct. I would not allow this injustice to define the rest of my life. That I sought every possible way to fight back. Small claims court, legal aid, pro bono lawyers, investigative leads. Every door I knocked on seemed locked at first, but I persisted. I worked nights, day after day, poring over custody laws, studying forged documents, learning how to uncover fraud. Every case I read, every court transcript I analyzed, sharpened my resolve. Slowly, I built a dossier, inconsistencies in Amelia's medical claims, forged signatures, witness statements that contradicted each other. It took months, but I was meticulous. Every detail mattered. Meanwhile, Amelia became bolder. She flaunted her victory, posting pictures of Noah on social media, calling him her son, her world. Ethan seemed unable or unwilling to confront her. The man I had loved had become a silent participant in my suffering. But her overconfidence would become her weakness. Every public post, every boastful comment, was evidence for the investigator I had quietly contacted. One rainy afternoon, I received a phone call from an investigator I had hired. Isabella, you were right, he said. Everything Amelia and her mother did, falsifying custody documents, forging signatures, submitting fraudulent reports, it's all coming apart. I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. Relief because justice was finally within reach. Emptiness because of the time lost, the moments with Noah I could never reclaim. But there was no celebration. The real battle was still ahead, reclaiming my child, facing Ethan, and confronting the women who had destroyed my life. Court day arrived. The courtroom was quiet, tense, the air thick with anticipation. Amelia sat in the front row, her face pale, no longer smug. Her mother's hands trembled as they clutched each other. Ethan avoided my gaze, shifting uncomfortably in his seat. When I entered, I felt a calmness I hadn't known in years. I walked past them, holding my head high. This was no longer a fight for love or affection. This was a calculated reclaiming of what was mine. The investigator presented evidence I had helped gather, forged doctor reports, false witness statements, financial fraud connected to Amelia's family, and emails proving their coordination to remove Noah from me. The courtroom murmured as the judge examined the documents. Amelia's eyes darted nervously. Her mother's lips quivered. Ethan's face paled. I spoke calmly when asked about my intentions. I only wanted my child. I have no ill will beyond protecting him and ensuring he is safe. The judge nodded, reviewing the overwhelming evidence against them. The momentum had shifted. The cruelty, the lies, the manipulation, all laid bare. The ruling was final. Noah would be returned to me immediately. I saw him carried into the courtroom by a social worker. He didn't recognize me. He clung to the stranger's leg, his tiny face etched with confusion and fear. I knelt, opening my arms. Hi, baby, it's mommy, I whispered. His small hands slowly reached toward me. The bond had to be rebuilt, moment by moment, touch by touch. I felt no triumph, no joy. Just a deep, heavy ache. Years of stolen moments could not be returned. Amelia and her mother faced charges of fraud, perjury, and attempted custody theft. Ethan begged for forgiveness, promising he would make things right. I didn't reply. The real revenge was life itself. They had lost reputation, power, and credibility. Their arrogance and cruelty had been exposed. I had taken nothing personally except reclaiming my child. And the satisfaction of seeing justice served quietly, without drama, without vengeance that would soil my own hands. The courtroom emptied, leaving only echoes of judgment and whispers of karma. Noah was finally in my arms, sleeping softly, unaware of the chaos that had taken place to bring him back to me. I walked out, keeping my head high. Amelia and her mother were being escorted away by legal officials, their faces pale and hollow. Ethan followed silently, shame etched in every step. I didn't speak to him. Words could not fix what had been broken. Instead, I focused on Noah, the only thing that mattered. That night, as I held Noah close, I realized that revenge isn't always loud or violent. Sometimes, it's the quiet, invisible kind, surviving while they crumble. Amelia lost her career, her friends, her influence. Her mother faced lawsuits, bankruptcy, and public humiliation. Ethan lost my trust forever. And me? I had my child back, but not the stolen years. Those could never be returned. The dark truth of revenge is simple: it carries a cost. Pain is never fully erased, even when justice is served. In the months that followed, I rebuilt my life. Noah and I moved into a small, quiet apartment. Every day was a chance to create new memories, slowly repairing the invisible scars of the past. I watched him grow, learned to cherish the little moments, and never let anyone undermine my authority as his mother again. Amelia tried to reach out, but I ignored her. She had chosen cruelty over love, and the consequences were hers alone. I often think about the choices we make. Some people choose manipulation, envy, and betrayal. Others choose resilience, patience, and strategy. My story is not about celebration or revenge in the traditional sense. It's about surviving. It's about reclaiming what is yours while letting life deliver the consequences to those who wronged you. I didn't need to destroy them personally. I survived, and that survival became the darkest and most satisfying revenge of all. If you were in my place, would you fight, or give up? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more real-life stories of betrayal, revenge, and survival. This is Isabella, signing off. And remember, sometimes the darkest paths teach the strongest lessons.